Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This week on the Sweetwater Minute, we are joined by Jay Morrissey from Cordoba Guitars. Jay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Mitch.
So Cordoba has a history as a classical and nylon string guitar maker. It's a line we're now carrying at Sweetwater. Why don't you give us a little intro to the guitars and the company?
Sure. We're located in Santa Monica, California. We specialize in nylon and classical guitars. We like the word nylon a lot. We do make traditional classical guitars for the classical musician, but our whole line is much more wide open, and we make guitars available for any style of play, different designs that suit different types of players, not just pure classicals.
Right.
Starting at $189 and going all the way up to $4,000.
Wow, so quite a range.
Yes, sir.
Quite a range. And everything from more flamenco to classical to pop nylon to jazz nylon. You've got guitars that kind of suit all those different styles and all those different types of players.
That's right. Traditional, classical, flamenco guitars, which have their own unique design. A fusion series, which is a nylon guitar for steel string players. We also make ukuleles that are made in the traditional Portuguese style, and they're lightweight. They sound good. We do cases, some accessories, strings, and things like that.
Right, right.
All things nylon.
Right. So let's take a look at a couple of the guitars that you brought with you today. Let's start with this one that I'm holding here.
Okay, that's the C5. The C5 is part of our Iberia series, which is the more affordable series of guitars that range from $189 street price to $999. This particular model is a $299 guitar with a gig bag. It's more of a traditional classical design. It's got a solid cedar top with laminate African mahogany back and sides, beautiful rosewood binding and gold tuners. It's lightweight, it sounds warm. It's a really excellent starter guitar, and it's more in the traditional style with the typical slightly wider classical neck with more of a U shape. So that you can work with the thumb.
Right, a little bit bigger neck shape on this one.
That's right. This guitar is also available as a C5 CE. So it's the same model with cutaway and electronics, a slightly thinner neck, and a little bit more narrow profile, kind of a stage-ready version of this same guitar.
Right, got it.
$100 more, $399 map with a gig bag.
Now, one thing I thought was interesting when you were talking this morning in the sales meeting, when you were showing these guitars to our sales engineers here, the Cordoba guitars have truss rods, which is not traditional in a classical. Can you talk about why you do that?
That's correct. Well, it's not traditional to have a truss rod in the classical world, but we really feel like the customer deserves a chance to have adjustability once the guitar gets into the world.
Right.
So it's mostly to set up the guitar to taste or to make an adjustment as the guitar reacts to the environment once it gets out there.
Sure. Sure, and you would never know. I mean, the classical guys might have a resistance to that because it's not traditional, but if you hadn't told me, I would never know there was a truss rod in this guitar.
Well, the knock on truss rod for classical is they tend to overweight the neck, and they also tend to rattle. We designed a truss rod that's no more heavy than the wood that you channel out to put it in, and so it's custom designed for these guitars. As you said, Mitch, you hardly feel it in the neck.
Right.
So we find most of our customers find it as a benefit rather than something that they're concerned about.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. It's nice to have that protection if the neck does start to bend a little bit from humidity or the top changes or something. You have that adjustability that's available to you.
When we get up into the high end, of course, the truss rod goes away for the more traditional player.
Right. Let's take a look at another guitar. So this is a very different guitar from the one we were just looking at. Tell us about this instrument.
Okay, this is called the GK Studio. GK stands for Gypsy Kings. They're big fans of our guitars. They've been playing them for a long time. This is a beginning flamenco. It comes with, obviously, with cutaway and electronics. Flamenco guitars, the unique feature of them is they have a flatter neck angle, so the strings tend to be closer to the fingerboard. That translates to really fast action. The neck also is very low profile and fast. So it appeals to the traditional flamenco player, but it's also reaching a lot of guitar players who just want a low action nylon guitar.
Right. Feels a little more comfortable if you're a steel string player. The neck profile's a little bit not as thick this way. And the guitar itself is actually thinner. It's a thinner
That's
body.
correct. The thinner body, the neck width is 50 millimeter, which is slightly narrower than traditional. And it's definitely a little more comfortable if you're not a traditional steel string player.
Nylon string player.
Nylon string player.
Right. Now this one has electronics as well.
Does. It comes with a Fishman Precis preamp, which onboard preamp, which has a blend of microphone and piezo under the saddle, and a built-in tuner as well.
Mm-hmm. What's surprising about this one is I was playing it earlier. Even with the thinner body depth, it's still a very big sounding guitar. It has a lot of bottom end to it.
That's right. It's flamenco guitars they're super lightweight and they react very quickly to that's part of the nature of the design, is to give you this very quick attack. And so you'll find that as you put very little tension or pressure in, you get a huge result from that, and that's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And what does this guitar cost?
Those are $5.99 street price with a gig bag.
Right, it's amazing the amount of guitar you get for that money. The last guitar you brought with you today is the C10. And tell us about this model.
Okay, the C10 is, again, a traditional classical guitar. This is kind of an entry-level classical for those who may be studying classical music and going on from there. The exciting thing about it is it's all solid wood, solid European spruce top, which is a little bit softer. That a European spruce is more appropriate for nylon, and solid Indian rosewood, and the ebony tuners. The guitar is actually $9.99 with a polyfoam case, so it's an incredible value. And I've been hearing you playing it. It sounds wonderful. So.
The solid wood really adds a resonance to this
Yes.
instrument. There really is a difference when you step into that. So if you're a serious student, someone going to university studying classical guitar or something, this guitar would be excellent. It has more of the traditional classical guitar action also.
That's right, and solid wood vibrates more freely. It gives you tone. It's definitely where you want to go in terms of getting the most out of the instrument.
Right, right. And all the way from the bass strings all the way up to the highest note. Very rich and sings very well. Really rings nicely for an affordable guitar still for a student or someone who is, again, studying a little more seriously.
That's right, and it's also very beautiful. It has a rosette inspired by Domingo Esteso, and it's got a mother of pearl on ebony. Very, very beautiful, traditional looking classical guitar.
Right. Now you have some other guitars as well. You mentioned the Fusion series, which is
Yes.
more of a nylon string with built-in electronics, aimed more at a steel string type player. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
That's right. The Fusion series is a crossover or hybrid. It's made for steel string players who want nylon sound without the classical feel. So the neck width is actually 48 millimeters, which is close to 1 7/8. That's narrow for classical,
Right.
but much more comfortable for a steel string player. It also has a 16-inch radius, which means there's a comfortable curve in the neck. And it's basically for those who don't own a nylon yet, but actually would like to have one, except the big, chunky classical neck has been kind of a barrier for them as far as playability is concerned.
Right.
They start at $4.99, again, very affordable, and they go up to around $7.99 or $8.49. And stops along the way.
Right.
Cutaways with electronics.
Yeah, they sound very good plugged in, so if you're taking it on stage, a great guitar for that kind of a thing too.
That's right.
Because I think that a lot of players, you think of a nylon string, and as you mentioned earlier, you do think of classical. But
That's right.
nylon string guitars are used for pop, they're used for folk music, they're used
That's
for a lot of jazz music, a lot of fingerstyle jazz. So there's a lot of different things besides flamenco and classical, which are traditionally
That's
associated
right.
with nylon.
And the thing with the Fusion series, we're a nylon company. This is what we specialize in. So our hybrid guitar is actually a real, properly built, lightweight nylon instrument where lots of other choices in that range tend to be overbuilt steel string bodies with nylon strings on them.
Which just don't respond the same.
Exactly right.
Right.
You get the sound of a vibrating string, but you don't get the sound of the actual tone wood, and that's really what the advantage is to, part of the advantage of choosing us is we specialize in nylon, it's who we are.
Right,
So.
right. Now, in addition to nylon guitars, you guys also make ukuleles. And tell us about the model that you're holding here.
That's right. We do a full line of ukuleles starting at $99 and going all the way to $379. This is the 20 TMCE. It's a tenor-sized ukulele with a solid mahogany top, laminate African mahogany back and sides. Comes with onboard electronics, cutaway, stage ready, and it's got a really, really nice resonance. It's $199 and comes with a gig bag.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a very full-sounding instrument. You were playing a little bit earlier, and I was surprised at the sustain and the depth that it has.
That's right. Well, like all of our guitars, it's lightweight, and it has the warmth that a nylon instrument should have. Again, it's not overbuilt. It's properly designed for the amount of tension that's on the instrument,
Right.
and that's key.
Right. Now, ukuleles have really taken off lately. It's been a
Unbelievable.
phenomenon, number of people who are interested in having one.
Well, that's true, and part of the reason is that they're really easy to play. I mean, it takes a minute on YouTube, and you could be playing 3 or 4 chords. So
Right.
it's a way into playing a musical instrument for a lot of folks who don't play at all, and for a lot of folks, this is their entry and their starting point. And the other thing is they're affordable, and
Right.
it's a fun thing to own, to have on the couch, to have kicking around.
Sure.
And we've really enjoyed a lot of success with our ukuleles, and we're just going to keep making them.
Yeah. It's also a nice thing to have in the studio, to have as an alternate color to add to tracks. Again, if you're a singer-songwriter or doing any style of music, there's always a place to drop in a little different sounding instrument to add a little different color. So a nice accessory to have for the studio as well. If you
That's
will.
right, absolutely. I mean, all of the nylon textures are very valid, especially in a studio environment. So yeah, this is a good one.
Right. Right, cool. Why don't you play a little bit for us?
Sure, we'll demonstrate a little bit.
We're very excited to have the Cordoba line here. These are
We are
beautiful
too.
guitars. It's been fun playing them.
Yeah.
And thanks for taking the time to come in.
Thanks very
Appreciate
much,
it,
Mitch.
Jay.
Thank you.
I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.